every structure has a blueprint. Every system has a design. And every crime, no matter how perfect it seems, has a flaw. April 8, 2011, 558 Stone Creek Court. Ashley Okland, a real estate agent, is inside a model town hall doing her job. At exactly 2 o'clock p.m., 2 gunshots were fired. The person who pulled that trigger believed something very specific, that the structure around them would hide the truth. But here is the problem. Buildings don't lie.
Today, we are not just telling a story. We are reconstructing the whole thing using forensic engineering, sound transmission science, and new 2026 court filings. I want you to think not just as a fan of true crime, but I want you to think like an investigator as we go through this case. So now, let's break this down as engineers. Ashley was working inside a model home in West Des Moines. Now, here is something most people don't think about. Model homes aren't designed for security. They are designed purposely for their aesthetics. In civil engineering, we use something called STC, Sound Transmission Class. Sound Transmission Class. Think of it like this. How well can a wall stop sound from passing through? Now, typically, shared walls in townhomes have an STC of around 50. That means sound doesn't just disappear. It travels. And on that day, a witness in the adjacent unit didn't just hear noise. They heard structure. 2 distinct impacts, 3 to 4 seconds apart. Now, let me ask you something. If this was random, panic, chaos, would the timing be that controlled? Probably not. That gap tells us something very important. It suggests intent. And here is where it gets more and even more technical. When a firearm is discharged at close range, the energy doesn't just stay in the air. It transfers into surfaces, into walls, into frame of the building itself. So what that witness heard wasn't just sound. It was vibration. And that means one thing. The structure itself recorded the crime. For as long as 15 good years, this case went cold. Think about it. 500 interviews, 900 leads, and still there was nothing. There were no weapons, no DNA traces, no clear motive. So, here is a question for you. How does a case with this many leads go nowhere? I want you to answer. The answer is because sometimes the problem isn't the effort. The problem is the connection. The problem is the connection. In 2024, something changed. The Iowa Code Case Unit was formed. And instead of asking who did it, they asked something smarter. The question they asked was, what failed in the system? What failed in the system? So they shifted their focus from suspect to the structure. In doing so, a name actually surfaced. Kristin Ramsey, a sales manager working in the same professional space as Ashley. That was not a stranger, and she wasn't a random person, but someone who was highly connected. March 17, 2026, a month ago from today, after 15 good years, an arrest was finally made. A grand jury indicted Kristin Ramsey for first-degree murder. But here is where things get so complicated. A witness comes forward and they say they saw Ramsey right outside the model home, moments after the gunshot. And she was kind of pacing, and then she was on her phone. Think about this. If you just witness something of this nature, what would you do? I'm sure you are thinking what I am also thinking. The first thing you would have done would have been calling emergency services, right or wrong. But according to court filings, that's not how things happened. So, Ramsey allegedly called a colleague and then she left the scene. She left there quickly. Prosecutors say this shows consciousness of guilt, but defense, they were saying something very different. Now, we move into something even more critical, something we call data integrity. In engineering, if your raw data is compromised, your entire conclusion collapses, because we know the importance of data. So if your data is compromised, then your entire conclusion collapses. And in April 2026, that's exactly what the defense claimed. They argued that key evidences from 2011 were lost or perhaps might have been destroyed. Let that sink in. No original ballistics, no complete digital records. So now, the question becomes, are we building a case? Are we building a case on incomplete data? Do we even build a case on incomplete data? That's the question. And that was the question I was asking myself when I heard of the case. Now, back to the story. Ramsey's legal team argued that the prosecution is selecting fragments and not the full picture. And if that was true, what does that mean for the trial? What does that mean? Yes. So I am an electrical and electronic engineer myself, and I know exactly what engineering teaches. Engineering teaches us something simple. Every system has a breaking point. Every system that exists has a breaking point. And for this case, that breaking point was 15 years of silence. But beyond the analysis, beyond the diagrams, there was a real person, Ashley Okland. She was a sister. She was a mentor, a professional building her life. And what hurt is this. A day before she died, Ashley hired her brother to work with her as her assistant. That wasn't just a clever move. That wasn't just a career move. That was trust. So as this case moves toward trial in 2027, the question isn't just who did it. It's can the truth still be proven after so much time has passed? Because sometimes the biggest mystery in life isn't what happened. The biggest mystery in life isn't what happened. It is whether we'll ever fully understand. Thank you for watching today's episode. Please, let's hit that 500 subscriber mark by the end of 2026. Subscribe, turn on the notification for cases like this.